why Korean parents are sending their children to study in Cebu or in the Philippines. And we've actually seen videos like this with America and their kids. They're sending to the Philippines just to learn. But this is for just a fact. There are so many like foreigners there in the Philippines trying to learn for studying, especially abroad. I've seen it before, especially Korean. So let's just see this story. Come check it out. You guys have linked this, so let's go.
Have you ever met a Korean parent who chose a remote island in the Philippines over Seoul's top private schools and smiled as if it was the best decision of their life? Sounds strange, right? Especially when you imagine the pressure Korean parents often face. Elite universities, after-school cram sessions, English academies that run until midnight. And yet, here they were, hundreds of them, flying not to New York, London, or even Tokyo, but to Cebu. That's where I met Mrs. Hyejin Park. She was standing by the gate of a small private academy on a quiet street just off Banalad. Her son, Jihoon, had just finished his classes and was running toward her with the kind of unfiltered joy you rarely see on the gray sidewalks of Gangnam. He was laughing, sweating, holding a notebook filled with doodles and English paragraphs. But what truly caught my attention wasn't the fact that Jihoon spoke English better than most 9-year-olds in Seoul. It was what Hyejin whispered, almost like a confession. "I sent him here to learn English," she said, "but he's learning how to be human." That stopped me. Not smarter, not more competitive, not higher test scores. Human. What was going on in Cebu? This isn't an isolated story. Over the past decade, a quiet but steady migration has taken place. Korean families, often upper middle class, sometimes even affluent, have packed up their lives and moved to Cebu.
And I'll tell you right now, a lot of the time I know some people mention like, oh, money this or money that. At the end of the day, most people with more money, they wouldn't just want to scrounge for pennies and then, oh, let me find the cheapest one in the Philippines. It's not necessarily about that too, because I've witnessed it before. People with loads of money going to the Philippines and going there because of the kind of education that they would get in terms of kindness, something that you almost can't teach, but you can experience. And when you take it to a place where you can experience it and be around that, along with the education as well being pretty good, that's a big thing. So as much as they want to just take them to Harvard or take them to the craziest school, that won't teach you something that is almost unteachable, only experienceable, if that's a word, only something you can experience in the Philippines. A kindness, a soul to everybody.
For a vacation, not for business, but for their children's education. And the most curious part? Most of them are not coming back. So why Cebu? At first glance, Cebu doesn't scream world-class education hub.
Yeah,
it's known for its beaches, lechon, and snorkeling, not for international schools. But dig a little deeper, and you'll find a network of private institutions tailored almost entirely for the Korean diaspora. Schools where English is the primary language, teachers are either Filipino or North American, and the curriculum blends Western-style education with Asian discipline. But for parents like Hyejin, it wasn't just about language or academics. She remembers the first time she walked into Jihoon's classroom. The teacher was sitting on the floor, surrounded by children, not lecturing, but listening. "In Korea," she said, "a teacher is someone you fear." Here, Jihoon calls her Miss Angela, and he hugs her every morning.
Oh.
That emotional intimacy, the permission to be open, expressive, even imperfect, is something many Korean children don't experience at home. The pressure to succeed, the strict hierarchy in schools, and the relentless focus on grades can leave even the brightest children emotionally exhausted. But in Cebu, something softens. Parents began to notice it, sometimes within weeks. Kids who once hated studying suddenly picked up books on their own. Children who struggled with bullying found friends across language barriers. And perhaps most importantly, they started to smile more, laugh more. Speak up without fear of being wrong. And this shift wasn't just emotional, it had ripple effects academically too. In an ironic twist, students who studied in Cebu for just 1 to 2 years often returned to Korea, not only with fluent English, but also with renewed confidence that made them stronger students overall. Mrs. Hyejin once told me, "When Jihoon speaks in English now, he doesn't just speak the words, he speaks with feeling." That's what convinced her to stay. She sold their apartment in Daegu, enrolled Jihoon in a long-term program, and now she volunteers part-time at the school, helping other new Korean parents adjust to the Cebu lifestyle. But it's not all sunshine and beaches. There were doubts, struggles, tears in the first few weeks. Jihoon cried on the first night, missing his grandparents. He didn't understand the accents, didn't know the culture, and felt lost among brown-skinned kids who looked nothing like him.
Yeah, the biggest thing as well as a kid is if there's a lot of change, you feel very uncomfortable, and as a kid, you don't hide that. So even being a kid in a situation like this and being able to learn from it will be a big step up. It'll be very difficult, but once it's done, something that'll change your life.
And Hyejin, alone in a strange country, navigating public transport, dealing with school forms in English, almost gave up. But something kept her going. She remembered how Jihoon used to hide under the table when it was time for math in Korea, how he once begged not to go to school. If he could survive that, she thought, we can survive this. And so began their transformation. This is not a tale of escape. It's a story of rediscovery, one that starts with a mother's quiet fear and a child's silent sadness, but slowly unfolds into something neither of them expected, a life not just richer in language, but in joy. Because in Cebu, they didn't just find a school, they found a way to breathe again. And this is just the beginning. Back in Seoul, Hyejin Park had always been the type of mother who planned everything down to the minute. Wake up at 6:30, toast with jam, glass of milk, school bus at 7:15, after-school hagwon from 4 p.m. until 9, dinner in the car, English vocabulary quizzes at the dining table. No wasted time, no distractions.
Full lock-in.
She believed that was the only way. So when she arrived in Cebu and saw how relaxed things felt, the traffic, the school uniforms with flip-flops, the kids laughing outside classrooms, her first instinct was panic. "This isn't serious enough," she told herself. "They're too soft here." She even considered flying back. But 3 small moments changed everything. First moment. The shoes left at the door. It was Jihoon's second week at school. Hyejin arrived early one afternoon to pick him up. As she stood near the entrance, she noticed something strange. Rows of little shoes, all lined up neatly outside the classroom doors. Not just Korean children's shoes, but Filipino ones too. Sneakers, sandals, tiny rain boots. She peeked inside. The teacher was on the floor again, this time helping a child tie his shoelaces. No podium, no lectern, no blackboard command center. Just children gathered around, cross-legged, listening and responding.
A completely different atmosphere, yeah.
A little voice. "Jihoon, will you sit next to me?" It was a Filipino boy, maybe 8 or 9, with curly hair and sun-darkened skin. Jihoon hesitated. He looked unsure. Then the boy added, "You can share my crayons." Hyejin watched as Jihoon slowly walked over and sat down. No translator, no adult pushing, just one child inviting another. And for the first time since they landed in the Philippines, Jihoon didn't look like he wanted to go home. She didn't say anything on the ride back, but she stared at his shoes in the back seat, still sandy from the playground.
Oh my gosh.
She had no idea that by leaving them outside the door, Jihoon had taken his first real step in. Second moment. The umbrella and the stranger. One morning, it rained. sudden and loud, as it often does in Cebu.
Yeah, in the Philippines,
Hyejin
basically.
forgot to bring an umbrella for herself. She rushed into the school compound, hair drenched, holding a plastic folder over her head. She stood under the overhang near the waiting area, trying to dry herself off. Then, out of nowhere, a hand appeared beside her shoulder, holding a bright red umbrella. It was the school's security guard. He didn't say anything dramatic, no grand smile, just a quiet, "Ma'am, you'll get sick." She looked up, confused. Back in Korea, guards stayed in their booths. They didn't hand umbrellas to parents, especially not with a gentle nod like that.
Oh.
She thanked him in broken English. He just said, "No problem."
I actually had an experience like that with a guard near one of the places that I was staying in, and I remember I was so shocked because he took all this effort to grab 4 different people's giant luggage. It wasn't just 4 individual. We each had 2, so 2, 4, 6, 8 big luggages in the Philippines. He takes each one, old man, security guard, grabbing each one, putting it behind his like booth thing. And he's like, "No worries, no worries." He pointed at the camera. He said, the camera's there. It watches all your stuff, because the place that we were staying at wasn't open yet. So we got in the Philippines early, and we had like 2 to 3 hours to spare. What are we supposed to do? We got giant luggage on us. He had it all planned out. He put it all behind him. And then once we went to breakfast, came back, it was all there, safe and sound, and he helped bring all of it up. Are you serious? Come on, guys. So this actually 100% true, dude.
Walked back into the rain. It was such a small act. But in that moment, Hyejin felt something soften inside her, a kind of unspoken kindness she hadn't felt in years.
Yeah, dude.
She held the umbrella close, not because of the rain, but because of what it meant. Third moment. The drawing on the fridge. Later that week, Jihoon came home holding a wrinkled piece of paper. "Mom, look what I made." She glanced at it distractedly at first. A drawing of the ocean, a house with a mango tree, and 2 stick figures holding hands. One had black hair, the other had brown. "Me and Miguel," he said. Miguel was the boy from the classroom. Jihoon had never said his name out loud before.
Oh.
But what caught her breath was the sentence on the top corner, written in uneven English. "Home is not a place. It's who you smile with." Hyejin blinked. It wasn't just the grammar or the handwriting. It was the meaning. Something had changed in her son. Not just the language he used, but the way he saw the world. And perhaps the way she had started to see it, too. That night, she put the drawing on the fridge with a magnet shaped like a Korean flag. She stared at it for a long time. No words, no music, just quiet. The first real silence she had felt since they left Daegu. Not the silence of uncertainty, but of realization. What if, she thought, I've been measuring the wrong kind of success all along?
Oh, man, yeah.
By the end of the first month, something strange began to happen. Hyejin stopped checking Jihoon's grades every day. She no longer timed his homework sessions with a stopwatch. She even deleted the Korean parent group chat she once monitored obsessively, where mothers compared reading levels and piano recitals like badges of honor. And for the first time in years, she sat on the balcony of their modest Cebu apartment, drank coffee without rush, and just watched her son play outside. There he was, barefoot in the grass, chasing a dragonfly with 2 other kids, Miguel and Lara. No pressure, no schedule, just joy. But choosing to stay wasn't easy. Back home, her husband still worked in Seoul, visiting only when he could. Her parents constantly asked, "When are you coming back?"
Of course.
Friends questioned her sanity. "You left Korea? For that?" She understood their doubt.
It's so easy to just...
Cebu wasn't glamorous. There were brown...
That's another thing. It's so easy to just stumble over something and be like, for that? Really? That place? There's so much more to it, man. And it always comes a lot of the time. And I'm not saying that all of them, right? Some people do travel to the Philippines and still say that, but that's because of like ignorance and whatever opinion, right? But a majority of the people who say something about the Philippines, like, oh, for that, they've never been. You scroll on TikTok, you see something bad. You scroll on this, you see something bad. Until you've been, I don't want to hear it. And I've been. And I was there for a while, almost a month. And I could tell you from experience, every minute I was there, enjoyable. Every person, every security guard I've interacted with, fantastic. This isn't coincidence either. This is not coincidence. I go anywhere. I go to New York, right? I'm not saying I hate New York, but I'll tell you straight up, and you guys have said this before too. I go to New York. Give one security guard. He's all right. He's all right being kind of nice. Not that nice like in the Philippines. He's just being normal, like straight-faced. Second one, absolutely rude. Get out of my face. Like, not right now. Looking at us like we're the stupidest people on earth because we asked the question. It's insane how they can treat you over there. And then, right, with that being said, people still want to talk about the Philippines. Every single time I've been to the Philippines, any security guard that I've spoken with especially, all of them, even if there's something going wrong. I remember there was a thing where they were like, they let us go into this gym, and then they realized that we actually weren't allowed to go into it. It was only people who have had permission or access for like, who have been staying in that place for months rather than just an Airbnb. He didn't come up to me and say, hey, get out. Dude, I've had that experience in the US. Hey, get out. Like we did something wrong. Like we did that on purpose. He walked up to me mid working out. He's like, hey, sir, quietly. Hey, can you come over here for a second? And then I was like, oh, what happened? He was like, oh, no, just something real quick. And then he told me, he was like, oh, you're not allowed to be here. I thought he said it was my fault. Like, not my fault, but he said it was his fault. Like, he's like, oh, it's my fault, sir. Listen, I didn't realize it's only if you've been here for this many months. So I'm sorry you have to leave. And I was like, oh, do you think we could just finish working out? He was like, no, I'm sorry, sir. Very kind. I was like, yeah, no problem. The end. In the US, it would have escalated. These dudes would have been screaming, would have like tried to embarrass us or something. It's just a fact, bro. It's just a fact. And seeing this, come on, bro. Experience.
The roads were bumpy. There were nights when frogs croaked too loudly to sleep, and mornings when she missed the smell of Korean seaweed soup. And yet, every time she looked at Jihoon, she felt something she couldn't explain. One evening, after dinner, Jihoon asked her a question that stopped her heart. Mom, was I a good boy in Korea? She was startled. Of course. Why would you ask that? He looked down at his rice bowl. Because I think I smile more here.
Aww.
Silence. There it was again, that quiet moment when truth slips through the cracks. She remembered the countless times Jihoon had dozed off with textbooks still open, his small fingers clenched, his jaw tight. How she once scolded him for getting 92 instead of 100 on a math test. How they'd forgotten birthdays because of Saturday academies. And now, here he was, asking if he was ever good enough.
Dude.
Hyejin's throat tightened. She reached out, touched his hand, and said, You were always good. But here, you're free to be happy too. The slow rewriting of expectations. In Seoul, parenting had felt like a race against time, against other families, against failure. But in Cebu, Hyejin began to see that childhood wasn't something to conquer. It was something to protect. She started talking to other Korean parents who had been in Cebu longer, some for 5 years, others who had even started small businesses just to stay.
Wow.
They spoke the same language, but their eyes told a different story, calmer, softer. One father said, Back home my son knew all his vocabulary words. But here, he learned how to shake hands. That's harder. Yeah. Another mother shared, My daughter didn't just learn English, she learned how to speak kindly. There's a difference. These weren't anecdotes. These were awakenings, and perhaps the most profound came on a day that seemed, at first, so ordinary. The day she didn't pack a lunch. It was a Friday. Hyejin had forgotten to pack Jihoon's lunchbox, something that would have sent her spiraling in the past. She rushed to school during recess, heart racing, guilt rising. But when she got there, she saw Jihoon sitting with Miguel, sharing spaghetti from a plastic container.
Oh my gosh.
"No lunch today?" Miguel asked. Jihoon shrugged. "It's okay. We share." And they kept eating, laughing, slurping, completely at ease. Hyejin stood behind a column, tears welling up, not from shame, but from something else entirely. Her son wasn't embarrassed. He wasn't ashamed of needing help. He was okay with being cared for by others.
Oh my gosh.
In that moment, Hyejin realized something she had never fully grasped before. Raising a child isn't about making them independent as fast as possible. It's about letting them be interdependent, open to community, to kindness, to love. And that, she thought, might be the greatest education of all. A new kind of future. By the end of the school term, Hyejin made her decision final. She renewed the lease, signed up Jihoon for the next academic year, enrolled herself in English classes at a local community center. She even started volunteering at a local reading program, helping both Korean and Filipino kids improve their literacy. "I came to help my son," she told the teacher, "but I think Cebu is helping me too." Her transformation was not just maternal, it was personal. She had spent decades believing that a good mother is one who pushes hard, plans everything, and never lets go of the reins. But here, in this island city where time moved differently, she discovered another truth. Sometimes being a good mother means stepping back, letting go of the fear, trusting the process, and watching her child become not just smarter, but softer, not just fluent, but kind, not just prepared for tests, but prepared for life.
Wow, dude.
6 months after moving to Cebu, Hyejin found herself doing something she never imagined. She was sitting in a parent-teacher conference, not asking about Jihoon's test scores, but about his happiness. "How is he? With others?" she asked. Miss Angela smiled. "He listens. He encourages the shy ones. He asks questions when others are afraid." "And his reading?" Hyejin asked, almost out of habit. "He's doing fine," Angela said. "But more than that, he's learning to care." That night, Hyejin sat beside Jihoon in bed, reading Charlotte's Web. Jihoon's English was still a bit clumsy, and he stumbled over a few words. But when they reached the part where Charlotte dies, Jihoon didn't ask what "passed away" meant. He just whispered, "She was a good friend." And that was enough. He understood.
Oh, dude.
A shift beyond the classroom. What started as an experiment, 1 year abroad to improve English, had become a turning point, not just for Jihoon, but for Hyejin, for her values, for her understanding of what a successful child really is. In Korea, the path was clear. Cram school, exams, university, employment. In Cebu, the path was messier, slower, but it was full of moments that made her pause and feel. Moments like seeing Jihoon give his snack to a hungry classmate, or the way he started saying "thank you" to tricycle drivers, or how he once said, "Mom, let's not buy toys this weekend, let's visit the shelter again." These were not things she taught him in Seoul. These were things he absorbed, from a place, from a people, from a rhythm of life that didn't rush, didn't shout, didn't push, but gently shaped. What Hyejin discovered, and why it matters by now, you might think this is just one story, one mother, one boy.
No, but there's
But
countless.
Hyejin wasn't alone. Each week, more Korean families arrived. Some came curious, some came desperate, many came skeptical, but again and again, they stayed. Because once you see your child look less tired, once you hear them laugh like they mean it, once you witness them learning not just from books, but from life,
From experience.
you begin to question everything you once believed. And that is the real transformation.
Wow. What a story. Dude, I'm not going to lie. This was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I can tell you guys right now, the reason you even linked this over, and it's already finished up, I just want to say thank you guys for linking this. This is absolutely wonderful. And I think the idea of it is wonderful. That's the main point to get from this, is that things like this happen consistently, and it's for a reason. I want to say I love you guys. Thank you for linking this over. Link over some more. Till next time. Peace. How good you been living? Wait, how good you been living? I've been living too good for you. I've been living too. Did what I did and I do it again. Every move that I make, I ain't feeling repent. Nobody believes to believe it's a friend, and you question your moves like you really won't end. Really?